Afternoon, folks. I'll be with you in a second. Just sort Facebook out. Right, that should get Facebook sorted out. I want to thank the moderators because I keep forgetting to do that for moderating the programme today on YouTube. Use folk on Facebook, behave yourselves. Here's a couple more minutes to get in. We'll have a wee look and see who's here. So we've got Aki's, Stevie Bankier, Mad Monk 33 is moderating today. We've got Eddie Wolfie, Ali Watson in France. We've got Derek, Mark Telfer, that is. We also got Mark Leslie in regularly. Rebecca, Millie. See Alistair's there somewhere as well, moderating. Any Facebookers in yet? Christ, that's moving quick. Hi Elizabeth. How's Germany today? And Scott, how are you? Francis, Donald, Sandra, right, we're up at our 100 mark, so let's get this broadcast underway. As you can see, I'm on my own today. David's otherwise occupied. I am on YouTube. I've got a lot of people in the audience for YouTube. I'm definitely on YouTube. Anyway, let's say David can't be away today. So today's broadcast will be done in the style of Indie Truck Davey. All right, a couple of things to mention before we go on with it. All under one banner, March in Glasgow this weekend. If you can make it, please do. And of course, next Wednesday, we have another Meet the Candidate. This time it's with Seamus Logan from Aberdeenshire North. Stop being lazy, David. Aberdeenshire North and East Moray. And we'll get a chat with him next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Okay, so put that in your diary. There is a notification up for it. All right, so it's Indie Truck Davey at the Truck Nat home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it's overcast, 13 degrees, rain in the forecast. We've had sunshine and showers so far today. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you wish to know what the weather's like where you are, look at your end bloody windy. Then maybe leave a wee comment so I can see what the weather's like where you are. Okay, let's get this one underway then. Lots and lots to talk about. The 10 days of glee for the Cuckoos in the Nest here in Scotland. And for those of you watching outside Scotland, the Cuckoos in the Nest are the English parties in the Scottish Parliament. That means Labour, Lib Dem and Conservative. Okay, these are the English parties who are squatting in the Scottish Parliament. Anyway, the Cuckoos in the Nest, they were cock-a-hoot. Middle of last week, they were bringing down the First Minister and they were going to wreck the Scottish Government and have an election. Fast forward to the beginning of this week and all their fun had been trampled on. Because Humza had offered up his resignation because with the way he handled the split with the Greens, and that took the wind out of wee Dougie Ross's sails because his vote of no confidence in the First Minister was out the window. Labour, of course, brought their vote of no confidence in the Scottish Government, to which Anas Sarwar, he got the smile wiped off his face and all. Didn't he? Well, of course, out of the two, wee Dougie was annoyed that his fun had been took out from under his feet. So he tried to show his annoyance at First Minister's questions. First Minister didn't half spanking one. Did they know? We'll stick this one up just for the comedy value of it. So we will. This is absolute brilliant. Listening to this one, folks. Absolute mega fun. Anyway, wee Dougie Ross didn't have to get his character handed to him, did he know?
Douglas Ross seems absolutely determined to talk about personality. So let me remind him about the personalities he associates himself with. Yeah. Douglas Ross served in Boris Johnson's government. Yeah. He called Boris Johnson an honest man. Yeah. That would be the Boris Johnson who was not only the architect of a damaging hard Brexit, but Boris Johnson allegedly said to COVID victims, let the bodies pile up high. Yeah. Douglas Ross then went on to not only support Liz Truss to the hilt, he demanded that we copy Liz Truss's disastrous tax plans. Those, of course, were tax plans that utterly annihilated the economy. And that is the Liz Truss who's now engaging in hard-right conspiracies about the deep state. You can judge a man, presiding officer, you can judge a man by the company he keeps. And Douglas Ross's company is Boris Johnson, the Conservative Party of Liz Truss, of Suella Braverman, Priti Patel, formerly Lee Anderson, Mark Menzies, Peter Bone, Chris Pincher, Andrew Bridgen, Frank Hester, and I can see Douglas Ross looking more and more embarrassed. And let me say, that is the company he keeps. I'm very proud of John Swinney, Kate Forbes, and all of the company that I keep, presiding officer.
Wow. That's what you call getting haunted your character. So, wee Dougie's joy at the middle of last week, towards the end of last week, right out the window, just to be given his character in the Parliament by Mr. Yusuf. Brilliant stuff. But I mean, let's face it, Sarwar wasn't having a good week either, was he? Last week, towards the end of last week, Sarwar was cock-a-hoop. He was about to topple the SNP Scottish Government and a vote of no confidence. Then apparently the unions were going to put up a candidate between them and a coalition for First Minister. Well, vote took place. Labour lost. We knew they were going to, because the Greens had made it clear that they didn't think the Scottish Government was incompetent. They just thought Humza was incompetent in how he handled the split in the coalition. The split was going to happen anyway. The Lib Dems were having a vote, I think it's next Thursday, because of the spat over net zero. So, real bad time had by the unions. Fi glee to gloom in 10 days. Always makes me smile. And of course, we had the Alpha Party. Ash Regan vote with the Unionists. A vote of no confidence in the Scottish Government. Now, I don't know what the strategy is of the Alpha Party, but if they're trying to win friends and influence people in the movement, a movement of which they are a tiny faction, then they're going about it the wrong way. No wonder there's no polling. And of course, the Greens haven't covered themselves in glory here either. Politics is a rough and tumble environment. You'd think somebody slapped them with a wet lettuce. What the Greens have to remember here is how they go into that Parliament in the first bloody place. It was on the back of SNP supporters setting votes. The polling tells us that. If the Greens want to remain as strong as they are today in the Scottish Parliament, maybe they should grow a bit more of a backbone and take the odd slap. And the press haven't covered themselves in glory in this one either, have they? For the last 12 months, they've been calling him Humza useless. Mr. Youssef, but whom's useless. The unionist press here. But as I've pointed out many times, and so has others, Humza has been a damn fine administrator, and he was winning the people over. And dealing with the public sector strikes, brilliant. Transport, bit of free zone, peak time fares in the railways. That study's come to an end, but they're looking now to see if it's viable to make it full time. He's rolled out free school meals to primary 1 to 5. Lifted the child uplift. This year keeping 100,000 children out of poverty. Introduced free dental for the under 25s. Introduced free travel for 12 to 22-year-olds on the bus network. The stuff the guy's managed to achieve in such a hostile environment. So he's been a good administrator. Now all of a sudden, for being Humza useless, he's a good guy. He's just made one mistake in how he split the coalition with the Greens. And this is in our press. And of course, chaos in the SNP leadership battle. That wasn't until John threw his hat in the ring. But John's been doing the course. Been in that parliament for 19 years. Served under Alex Salmond, served under Nicola Sturgeon, run successful ministries, and he can unite all the different factions within the SNP, because he's been around that long. He's friends with everybody, the new members and the old members. So, when it comes to the situation we find ourselves in the Scottish Parliament now, we're reduced to it's no democratic, unelected leader, bollocks. I've had to explain this many, many times to people. We don't vote for a First Minister. We don't vote for characters at all. The way the democracy is set up is we vote for political parties. The political parties put a manifesto in front of us, we read them, decide which one of them will represent our values and do the best for the nation, and then we vote for them. I didn't vote for Nicola Sturgeon. I voted for the SNP. Didn't vote for Humza Youssef. I voted for the SNP. Didn't vote for Alex Salmond. I voted for the SNP. I voted on the policy programme that they promised to enact. Oh, this non-democratic crap. Well, Labour. This is Anna Sarwar, by the way. He's not a good week at all, 10 days. Huh? The same thing's just happened in Wales, except for the new First Minister of Wales is under investigation for a £220,000 donation to a convicted polluter. Wow. Couldn't make it up. But of course, Sarwar's not had a good week, is he? Because once again, he got a douche, a stinging rebuke from Sir Keir Starmer. An absolute stinging rebuke on International Labour Day, the 1st of May. Anna Sarwar releases a video here in Scotland telling us that Labour will always stick up for workers' rights and Labour are the party of the worker. What did Mr Starmer spend International Labour Day doing? Announcing that he was watering down his new deal for the workers. That's how he spent it. Nae rise to sickness benefit, nae end to 0 hours contracts. Anything else he's going to put out to consultation to industry and business. He's not talking to the workers. It wasn't just a slap to Sarwar. It was a message to the trade unions that Labour have moved on from being the party of the worker, the party of the people, to being the party of big business. What a rebuke that was, huh? Sarwar telling the people of Scotland about this wonderful new deal that they were going to get as workers on International Labour Day. At the same time, his leader from the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, his imperial master, was telling us all, oh, I've spoke to big business and I better take their interests more in hand than yours. Growth's important, you know. You don't get growth if you don't redistribute the wealth. We have a market economy. If the people in that market economy don't have any disposable income, then the market economy doesn't work. We'll get a wee bit more of that as we go further into the programme. So, it hasn't been a good week in Scottish politics for anybody but the SNP. By the end of this week, John will take up office. The party is starting to get its head in gear again, while the rest of them have been left out like mugs and stood on the sidelines chirping, no democratic, the people didn't vote for your leader. We don't vote for leaders, we vote for political parties and the manifesto they put in front of us. It's unbelievable how people can actually be allowed to go to a polling station without actually understanding what they're fucking doing. Meanwhile, well, they're screaming undemocratic up here now that John's going to be appointed the new First Minister, because he will win the vote in Parliament. He does command the respect of Parliament. Let's see. It's, what's it really come out of this 10 days of bollocks in the press and noise for the yappers on the sideline was how pathetic the yappers on the sideline were and how little they understand how our democracy works. And they're in our fucking Parliament. You can tell they're cuckoos in the nest, squatters from another land. They haven't even bothered to work out how the democratic system works. Oh, here we go. Swinney is a world economic forum puppet. And I have no excuse saying that I voted for a party. I've been voting for that party for a long time, my friend. I know I was voting for a party and not a person. I'm interested in the policy programme that the government's putting through. I'm not interested in the bureaucrat who's running the operation. That's how our system's supposed to work. The reason why the system doesn't work is because people vote like fucking football supporters. I've got a yellow scarf, I've got a red scarf, I've got a blue scarf, I've got an orange scarf, I've got a green scarf. That's what's wrong with fucking politics today. So, to be fair, the only ones that have had a good week in politics has been the SNP. And even then, it started off pretty shitty last week. Right. And then, of course, when we come to Sarwar, it's Sarwar and his party of the people. This is the fuckhead that won't pay his own employees a living wage. This is the donkey who instructed and whipped his party in Holyrood to vote against a compensation scheme for WASPy women. These WASPy women were workers. It's why they're entitled to a pension. As for the compensation scheme, it's usual Westminster crap, innit? They steal £44,000 for a woman and offer them £2,965 compensation. Wow. But party of the people, party of the workers. Are these WASPy women no workers? Are they no people, Sarwar? So see, The Red Tories haven't had a great week. Starmer flips again. Well, Dana, he gives the branch office manager a backhander to the heat and tells him to shut up, Jock, get back in your box. You'll do what you're bloody well tell. And then, of course, we just get wee Dross making an absolute arse of himself as usual. It's like watching a toddler in a playground full of giants. The man's an intellectual. Intellectual dwarf. Sorry for the term, little people. He's not the brightest candle in the box, that's for sure. And he just makes himself look like an idiot in that Parliament week in, week out. In fact, he makes himself look like an idiot every time he steps into public. I'm surprised the Tories along there haven't replaced him up at by now. But when you look amongst the ranks, there is a dearth of talent there, that's for sure. Absolute dearth of talent there. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, and that's the other thing the cuckoos in the nest are at. They really don't understand how the democracy works, do they? The cuckoos in the nest are now back at continuity candidate. I don't know how many times I've got to say this. Whoever's in the hot seat along there better be a continuity candidate, because we, the people, voted for them based on the 2021 manifesto. And that manifesto that we voted on was to implement a policy programme up until 2026 and achieve as much of it as possible. So as a continuity candidate, it bloody well better be, because if they want to deviate from the manifesto we put in front of us in 2021, they better hold a bloody election. Because that manifesto is what I voted on. I want to see that policy programme, or as much of it as possible, implemented over this 5-year term. Because I liked the policy programme that was put forward in the manifesto. That's why I voted for the SNP. I don't just want independence for no reason. I want independence because the people I see running the devolved Parliament are doing a damn better job here in Scotland than what the Muppets running the Imperial Parliament in London are doing. I want independence for better governance. Because the incompetence I've watched down that road in the last 30, 40 years is enough to make you sick. But the competence I've watched along that road in Edinburgh for the 24 years it's existed, that's convinced me that that's who should be running Scotland. No with one hand tied behind their back, but with the full powers of an independent Scotland's Parliament, with the full ingenuity of our people at their disposal, and the full range of our vast wealth of natural resources there to benefit the people. Let's play trickle down to the other side for a change, instead of trickle up. Huh? So, when the cuckoos in the nest are standing there and saying unelected leader, wow, Sarwa, what just happened in Wales, you spanner? Douglas Ross, how many bloody leaders you had down that road since 2019? Well, with the clown, the cabbage, and the titchy one. Mental. Like those in glass houses throw the first stone. Absolute spanners. But as I say, they don't seem to understand direct democracy. And that's a worry, folks, because these people are sitting in a parliament. Right, let's move down that road and see what sort of chaos is going on down there this week, shall we? Down that road, we've got the local elections. Let's have a wee look and see how things are going. And they're not going as well as Labour thought they were going. They're not going well for the Tories, but they're definitely not going as well for Labour as I think they are. So let's get the latest seat count. Shall we? Labour now has 731 councillors, and that's a gain of 114. The Conservatives are down 278 councillors, and they now sit at 280. But the majority of those seats that have been lost by the Conservatives have went to the Lib Dems, the Independents, and the Greens. And I don't know who RA is. I don't know if that's meant to be Reform UK. But they say Labour's only gained an extra 114 councillors out of 278 that the Tories have lost. So it looks like although the Tories are having a disastrous time of it, Labour's not doing as well with it as what they thought they might. So that's the latest a councillor count down that road. All right, now Labour have taken 4 councils, I believe, or taken control of 4 more councils. So what else is going on down that road? Oh, aye, the MOD is refusing to tell MPs in Westminster why it is Israel has planes landing at UK bases. Why? What's the excuse for the Minister of Defence? They don't want ministers to be found complicit in war crimes. So the MOD is going to take it the military. We'll get a wee bit more of that, and we'll talk a wee bit more about what's rattled their cages. And let's get Biden up in arms shortly, shall we? What else we go on down that road? The Reform Party tells us that we should just let, or they should just let, people crossing the English Channel in small boats drown. Ben Habib. Mental. Then, of course, we've got the story of the new First Minister in Wales having accepted money for somebody who was a known polluter and who had been fined for polluting the waters down there. And then, of course, in Northern Ireland, we've got the Jeffrey Donaldson scandal, which we can't say nothing about because it's an ongoing legal case. Hi, Daily Blase. Folks, check out Daily Blase's channel. Brilliant, so he is. On YouTube. And a young Reagan Elite's there. Tate. And Maximilian Robespierre's good as well. Big Madge is no bad either. Kernow Damon. There's a few of them out there. So, mixed bag across the UK. And then, of course, Ireland is in the news because it's changing its law to redesignate the UK as a safe place. So it can send back to the UK the asylum seekers who came to the UK, found out they were about to be deported to Rwanda, and used the UK's transport network to bugger off to Ireland so they don't get sent to Rwanda. So the Rwanda policy is causing problems for Southern Ireland. They're using, they're entering into Northern Ireland and then straight into Southern Ireland, where it's becoming a problem. Well, you can understand why they're doing it. Anyway, there's an international issue on the go because Sunak and the Tories have said they're not taking these people back from Ireland. Ireland already has an agreement with the UK. It was put in place in 2020. They're changing the law to redesignate the UK as a safe place so that that existing agreement can be put into operation, so those who flee to Ireland looking for safety are getting shipped straight back to the UK. Oh dear. So there's a fair bit going on down that road. Now, will a disastrous election and the local elections bring on an election quicker than we're expecting? I don't think so. For some reason, I don't think Sunak cares. Him and Hunt are planning their next giveaway as they burn and wreck the economy and the way out the door. They've already tied Labour's hands with the two national insurance cuts, which has taken 18 billion out of the exchequer. And they plan to do it again before they call this election in an autumn statement. They're going to whack the disabled and their benefits to finance tax cuts for those who already have more than they need. It's a scorched earth programme down that road at this point in time, as the Tories head for the exit door, because they want to make sure over the next 5 years Labour don't have a chance to fix anything that's been set on fire, and that'll give them 5 years to regroup, come in and steal even more. I mean, if you look at Thames Water right now, they're tits up, get money for the government, and they hand it out to shareholders in the form of dividends. Everybody's taking as much as they can out of it. The public services, even the private industries that are about to collapse, like their water service down that road. Guess who's picking up the bill? Suckers! We are. Because when their water systems have to be taken back into public hands, guess who's paying for it? Everybody on these islands. Even though not everybody on these islands privatised their water companies. So last week they were talking about chaos in Scotland, the chaos in the SNP, Scottish Government in disarray. We had that idiot Andrew Neil, the House jock down that road, tells that Scotland's a basket case. Scotland's not a basket case. You can tell that the House jock hasn't been up this road to live for a long time. We're also told that our more progressive tax system would have people fleeing. We then find out it's bringing people to Scotland. They're coming here for a better deal for their taxes. The real chaos that we see in front of us, folks, isn't here in Scotland, where public services are functioning properly, or better than anywhere else in these islands. But the real chaos is in that house of thieves and carpetbaggers, better known as Westminster, which over the last 30 years has been the most corrupt hive of thieves and carpetbaggers you've ever seen. And I mean you've ever seen. Compared to it, Holyrood has been a beacon of light. An absolute beacon of light. Down there, they're shoving people onto the streets. They're going hungry. Poverty's on the rise. Up here, we managed to stabilise things and actually get people out of poverty. Down there, they won't feed kids in school. Even though we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis that they created, up here we're feeding the kids in school. Down there, they have no social care. Up here, we'll get free social care for anybody that needs it. Down there, they can't get a dentist. Up here, we've got free dental up to the age of 25 with free eye tests, free prescriptions. That's what happens when you have a proper progressive tax system like we have in place here in Scotland. I could have went on. The social contract between the Scottish people, the Scottish Government and its people, within the confines of devolution, has shown up Westminster for the disastrous letdown that it's been for the last 30 years. You want to look at chaos, look into the house of thieves and carpetbaggers. Westminster to those outside Scotland. Because that place, especially over the last 14 years, has become the most corrupt, banana-style monarchy, because we can't call it a republic, that you have ever seen. Theft to the public purse and transfer of wealth from those who had the least to those who have the most has been a bloody outrage. And during the pandemic, it accelerated. Unbelievable. Disaster up here. Wow. That's the problem with the press on these islands. Now, the way those in Westminster shout that this place up here is a disaster, it is so the people down there don't have time to have a look at what's actually going on in Scotland. Because if they did actually look at what's going on in Scotland, they would demand the same of their politicians in England. So they would. Keep talking about having to do a programme on the social contract between the Scottish people and the Scottish Government and the English people and the English Government, so we can compare them both. It's such a big subject, but it takes an awful lot to put it together. Right, let's move on to subjects wider. Well, Ukraine. Not going well. The Russians are making headway. The Ukrainians have done well. They've held back the bear for a couple of years. Maybe even managed to hold them back a bit longer. But we really need a diplomatic settlement there, and soon. Because the Ukrainian people won't be able to hold it forever. With a downturn here in the UK, the downturn in Europe, although apparently that's coming to an end in Europe, it's not coming to an end here, but we'll get to that in a minute. It means that funding there for Ukraine just won't dry up. People will demand that their government stop spending on arms when people are going hungry. You know? And then let's move on to Israel and Gaza. What's the big story this week for Israel and Gaza? Apparently Biden is threatening The Hague because the International Criminal Court is thinking about issuing international arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his ministers. Netanyahu then came out and had a pop at The Hague as well, telling them they must be mental because the International Criminal Court was set up in light of the Holocaust after the Second World War. Not exactly true, but it was a contributing factor. But what Netanyahu's trying to say is the International Criminal Court is full of bent judges because they're levelling at him, not Israel, but him and his administration. The very same crime that was levelled at Adolf Hitler against the Jewish people. So, Biden's getting off his nut. And he's threatening the International Criminal Court and The Hague, where it's based, because the International Criminal Court is thinking about issuing warrants against Netanyahu and his ministers. Right. Unbelievable. Okay. So really, you get right down here, folks. It'll be a great week. The Horizon inquiry in the post office is still going on. Looks like the post office ripped these people off and deliberately covered that up. Because remember, the post office asked these people to repay money that was never missing in the first place. So basically the post office, knowing that this system was flawed, extorted money out of these people. And some of them have now lost their lives, committed suicide. Others have been to jail. Others have had their reputations ruined. And they're struggling to get compensation out of these shitheads and all. I'd like to see the people who were running the post office at the time, because it looks as if they deliberately covered this up. In the dock! Absolutely in the dock. Now, as to Scottish Labour abstaining on a vote for a compensation scheme for wash-away women, the compensation scheme's an insult. They had 6 years put onto their pension, 6 years of their pension stolen, actually. They should have got their pensions at 60. Now they're not getting them at 66. That's 48,000, because our crap state pension's only about £8,900 a year on the lowest level, the basic state pension. So 44,000 quid they've stole for these people. And they're offering them 2,965 quid compensation. And Labour here in Scotland said no. We need to slow this down. We need to have a consultation. A consultation on what? Labour were responsible for us. It was accelerated by the Tories. These people have had their pensions stolen. They entered into a contract to get their pensions at 60. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, folks. As I say, as for doing that road, mental. Let's see what the latest count is. Because as I say, Labour are no doing as well as they expected to. It's actually the independents that are the real winners out of this. And the Lib Dems. Labour are now plus 117 seats at 705. The Tories are down. The Tories have 290 seats, down 284. So, as I say, the majority of them have went to Lib Dems. The Independents, who've got 100, Lib Dems get 246 councillors, that's up 43. The Independents have got 164 councillors, and that's up 83. The Greens have got 80 councillors, and that's up 35. And whatever the RA is, that's plus 1. I'm assuming it's Reform UK and somebody's made an arse of the banner. So, in the local elections down there, Labour are not doing as well as they thought they were. Starmer's not as popular as he thinks he is. 213 watching on YouTube, is there, Ali? There is actually 262 people watching right now, so the rest of them must be on Facebook. But if you're on YouTube, folks, please hit the like button, alright? Now, because this is an Indie Truck Davy, it's not as easy to do an hour in an Indie Truck Davy, so I'm going to wind this one up, folks. Alright, in the Indie Truck Davy series, I always did a 45-minute show because that's how long my break was in the truck. So I'm winding this one up here. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Now, it is a Two Davies, so please share across your social media if you've enjoyed this. It's always fun to slip back into characters in the Truck Davy, because I get to pull out the old phrases like cuckoos in the nest and things, cuckoos in the nest and things like that. You know what I mean? I get to talk about poverty pie and things like that. So, aye, in the house of thieves and carpetbaggers. I like that. But hey, I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. The other thing about Indie Truck Davy is his catchphrase is eyes on the prize. This is an election year. We need to send a message down that road. And it has to be a strong one. You know, we've seen the way the Greens are behaving, but they weren't getting nothing in the election anyway. We've seen the way the Alpha parties behaved, but they weren't getting nothing in the election anyway. So don't waste your vote, folks. Just don't waste your vote. When this election is called, when you get into that ballot box, if if you want Scottish independence, there's only one bus to be on, and we have to make sure the driver's got the power to get us there. So, cross in the SNP box. Eyes on the prize. Look after yourselves. Share this around if you liked it. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, please. I want to thank Daily Blase and others for dropping in, other YouTubers for dropping in. I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank the moderators, because I always forget to thank the moderators for moderating on YouTube. As I say, eyes on the prize. Well, I will see you all on Monday. I don't know whether David will be with us or not, but as you understand, David's got a lot in his hands at the moment. And he hasn't had a great run of luck, I can assure you, but I'm not wanting to talk about it here. But let's just say he could do with a big bunch of lucky white heather. Look after yourselves. Bye for now.